Part 52. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 511. This is red wine, and she pours the red wine by the glass. Wen Qiao raised his eyebrows and ignored him. He toasted with everyone, tilted his head and looked at Fu Nanli with a smile, to Mr. Fu. Then she raised her eyebrows, with a hint of provocation, and took a sip of red wine in front of him. Fu Nanli's Adam's apple rolled, and his eyes looked at her with strong aggression. The child had forgotten what it looked like to be drunk. Sci-fi rolled his eyes and almost rolled his eyes to the sky. The little vixen was blatantly hooking up with her. Looking at her secretive glances, she was really shameless and invincible. It seems that her bottom line is still too high, but for such a little internet celebrity who has no bottom line, the young men can only act on occasion and have a romantic relationship. How can anyone respect people who look down on themselves? Producer Sue began to introduce the main creative staff of this crew, from the director to the actors, one by one. Fu Nanli was absent-minded and responded to the actors and directors perfunctorily. Wen Qiao started eating. Although Fu Nanli was chatting with the producer about movies, his peripheral vision remained on Wen Qiao. The turntable rotated slowly. Wen Qiao pressed it gently, picked up a shrimp, peeled the shell, and put it in Fu Nanli's bowl. Let's eat some vegetables. Is this man full of anger? I haven't even touched my chopsticks yet, I just drank. A crystal clear shrimp tail was put into his bowl. Fu Nanli finally put down the wine glass and glanced at her. Wen Qiao looked at him with a smile, and his eyes said, "How long will Mr. Fu be angry?" Fu Nanli's slender fingers finally picked up the chopsticks, picked up the shrimp, and put it into his mouth. Sci-fi shook her head. She was really impressed by the little internet celebrity's shameless ability to stick to men. Young Master Fu obviously looked down on her, but she was not discouraged, haha. Seeing that he had eaten the shrimp tails, Wen Qiao peeled two more and put them into his bowl. He also picked up a piece of scallops and a broccoli with public chopsticks, and scooped out some soup. Everyone at the table didn't say anything, but they all saw it in their eyes. Miyu kept a low profile and created a persona of a low-key and talented woman. She was very flattering when she met the powerful. What made Sci-fi unhappy was that Mr. Fu really gave Miyu face, and he ate all the food Miyu gave him. Wen Qiao ate and drank, served Fu Nanli some food, and listened to them talk about movies. The meal was coming to an end. Wen Qiao's face was extremely hot. In full view of everyone, he held Fu Nanli's hand and said in a soft voice, "Have you finished talking about the matter?" Fu Nanli's hand was placed on the dining table. Wen Qiao grabbed it and everyone at the table was shocked. The little girl must be too brave. What made everyone even more stunned was that Master Fu did not take out his hand, but whispered, "Not yet." Wen Qiao breathed out, his face turned red, and he leaned back on the chair, looking a little impatient, then hurry up and talk. Commanding tone. It was actually a commanding tone. Everyone watched as Mr. Fu was held by Miyu's hand throughout the whole process, speeding up the conversation, telling producer Sue some things to pay attention to, the filming progress, etc., and finally took out his hand and said softly, "Let's go." Did she think that serving him food would eliminate the anger in his heart? When he walked in and saw her whispering to that Shang Fan, his anger had been pent up in his chest. This was a movie he produced, and she was the composer of the ending song, but he didn't even know it. He asked her to act in a movie, but she didn't want to, but Shang Fan asked her to compose music, but she did her best. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 512. How can the anger accumulated in Mr. Fu's chest be dissipated for a while? Wen Qiao was slightly drunk, and saw Fu Nanli standing up in his hazy vision. As soon as Fu Nanli stood up, Everyone stood up too. Producer Sue and everyone sent Fu Nanli to the door. Fu Nanli had no intention of waiting for Wen Qiao, and walked out of the private room with his bodyguard Songan. Wen Qiao hurriedly lift your feet and chase him. Drinking made her move a little slower. When she squeezed out, Fu Nanli had already reached the end of the corridor and was about to go downstairs. He had no intention of waiting for her. Wen Qiao stopped and she stopped chasing. Everyone was still watching the excitement at the door. CFA secretly cheered. As expected, Mr. Fu didn't like this little internet celebrity and didn't even take her away. Wen Qiao felt a little dizzy. She put her hand on the wall and stood there without moving. Then she saw the man stopped in front of the golden escalator and looked back at her. Wen Qiao still didn't move. Fu Nanli finally said, "Walk faster." Everyone. CFA cursed, how could he sing this? So it was Wen Qiao's miserable appearance that moved Mr. Fu again? Men all fell into this trap, and although she despised it in her heart, she silently memorized Wen Qiao's routine. Wen Qiao still didn't take a step. After all, Fu Nanli couldn't do anything to her. He turned back, took her hand, and said softly, "I asked you not to drink. If you don't talk to me, what will I do if I don't drink?" Not far away, the people watching Mr. Fu leave at the door could clearly hear the voices of the two talking, and they always felt that their tone was a bit intimate. Not quite normal. He held her hand and walked forward, quickly turned a corner and went downstairs. Everyone was confused. Producer Sue looked at Shang Fan. "You and Mu are familiar with each other. Do you know the relationship between her and Mr. Fu?" Shang Fan shrugged, "I don't know. It's about other people's privacy, so he can't talk nonsense." CFA felt resentful. If the little internet celebrity didn't come, maybe the opportunity to hook up with Mr. Fu would be hers. She blamed her senior brother Shang Fan for not bringing the little internet celebrity to the dinner. She looked at Shang Fan with a hint of resentment. Over there, Fu Nanli had already pulled Wen Qiao downstairs and out. Songan opened the car door. Fu Nanli put his hand on top of her head and protected her into the car. The light in the car was dim, and Wen Qiao was a little dizzy. He closed his eyes and leaned on the back of the chair. When he heard the sound of the door closing, and the man's breath was close at hand, he knew that he had also got in the car. The car engine sounded, and the fragrance of summer gardenia was carried into the car by the breeze. Wen Qiao's wrist was grabbed by the man. The back note of the blue perfume really had the effect of bewitching people. She slowly opened her eyes, and the man's deep eyes met hers. "What are you doing?" Due to drinking, her voice was a little hoarse and her tone was lazy. Fu Nanli leaned half an inch away from her lips. "You are the composer of the ending theme of my movie. I am the last one to know about this. Do you think it's appropriate?" "Wen Qiao, you are my boss in composing movies, and I am also the last one to know. Is there anything appropriate or inappropriate?" Fu Nanli reached out and clamped her chin. "I asked you to act in a movie and you didn't agree. Shang Fan asked you to compose music, but you readily agreed." Wen Qiao's head was in chaos, so he grabbed his hand and said, "Don't make trouble." Fu Nanli narrowed his eyes. "Wen Qiao." Wen Qiao raised his hand and touched his face. "Aren't you being unreasonable? You asked me to act in a movie. I'm not an actor, so I can't agree to it. Shang Fan asked me to compose music. That's my job, so I agree. It's understandable that you treat me coldly and ignore me in front of everyone just because of something like this, and I'm also angry. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 513. Just as Fu Nanli was about to speak, Wen Qiao said again, you didn't wait for me, you walk so fast. Fu Nanli's heartstrings were loosened again. If I asked you not to act, but to compose music, would you agree? Wen Qiao lowered his eyes. Yes, at least you have to speak professionally, Mr. Fu, don't you think so? Fu Nanli squinted at her. So it's my fault. I didn't go in the right direction. Wen Qiao smiled. If you know you made a mistake, correct it. There is no such thing as a good thing. He was pushed on the back of the chair. Lao Hu and Song An had been calm for a long time and pretended not to have seen it. Early the next morning, while Wen Qiao was still sleeping, the cicadas on the big tree outside the window were already chirping non-stop, the old electric fan was creaking and spinning, and her mother's voice came from outside, calling her to get up and have breakfast. Wen Qiao pushed away the thin blanket on his body, struggled to sit up, and reached out to turn off the electric fan. He drank half a glass of red wine last night, and now he was slightly hungover and had a headache. She left the room, washed up, and the family sat under a big tree to have breakfast. Su Yun got her a glass of milk. I came back last night smelling of alcohol. I'm a kid. You can't drink outside in the future. I heard you. Wen Qiao touched his neck, just took 2 sips. Wen Qi is now living and dining in the club, and there are only 4 people eating breakfast. Su Yun is a little worried. In a while, your Uncle Ji will cook some dishes and put them in thermos boxes. Qiao, bring them to Xiao Qi to eat. Wen Qiao waved his hand. He eats well there, with 3 dishes, 1 soup and fruits for lunch and dinner. The nutrition is absolutely guaranteed, don't worry. Go if you are told to go. Wen Qiao, okay, I'll go. After breakfast, Lu Yu ran over and took Wen Qiao to record a video together. Wen Qiao finally had the opportunity to become a father. How could he miss this good opportunity? Come on, call daddy and listen. Lu Yu narrowed his eyes and looked at her. You want to rebel? I will be your father for 1 day and I will be your father for the rest of my life. Wen Qiao, you are quite brave. Lu Yu raised her chin. Everyone can take 1 breath of life. Wen Qiao rubbed her head. Okay, I can't do anything to you. The two recorded a video together, playing a popular song Left Finger Moon. After filming the video, Lu Yu was still immersed in the exciting aftertaste, and then started to edit the video happily. This time I will definitely gain a lot of fans. Wen Qiao looked at her with a smile. I will have almost 100,000 followers, and I will be able to win a small TV medal by then. Lu Yu geared up. I've finally waited. Wen Qiao was lying on the recliner board. Lu Yu was editing videos, and her mother was busy cooking for Wen Qi and the others in the kitchen. There was a knock on the door. Wen Qiao looked up and saw that an uninvited guest had arrived. Fang Duo was peeping outside. Lu Yu immediately shouted, "What are you doing here? How do you know our Qiao's address?" Fang Duo walked in. I asked around and found out. I'm here to seek peace. Lu Yu curled her lips and said, "No, you made our Qiao scolded by so many people at that time, so how about we just keep it to ourselves?" Fang Duo looked at Wen Qiao, and Wen Qiao said calmly, "As long as you don't find anything to do for me, that's fine. Forget it about friends or anything like that. The rich young lady is arrogant and savage, but if we really want to become friends, we have to provide for her. No, she doesn't want to suffer for this." Fang Duo suddenly squatted down and cried so loudly that Su Yun even stuck her head out of the kitchen. "What's wrong?" Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 514. Wen Qiao was caught off guard by her crying. "Why are you crying? Miss Qiao Didi, she really can't bear it?" Fang Duo choked up while wiping her tears. "I have already disbanded the new folk music club. My hand was injured and I can't play the guhan now. I know now that none of the people around me are sincere to me. They are just flatter me, they hope that I will be arrogant and suffer the consequences in the end, they all hope that I will be unlucky. Suyun muttered, Chiao, don't quarrel with your classmates, talk to yourself. Wen Chiao, it's okay, Mom, you cook your own food. Wen Chiao looked at the man squatting on the ground, what does it have to do with me? If I think about it carefully, maybe you are the best person to me in the school. Wen Chiao raised his hand, don't, I'll treat you like that. Fang Duo was too extreme. He had always said that he wanted to harm her before, but suddenly he said that she was the best to her. She turned around faster than flipping through a book. Fang Duo's tears rolled out as if she didn't want money. Wen Chiao, I can't play the guhan anymore, but I still like playing the guhan very much. I have closed down the new folk music club for your sake, so you can't let me go to your old folk music club? Do whatever you want, even if it's just to be a suanfa, I'm still doing what I like, woo woo woo. The weather was hot, and Wen Chiao was upset by her crying, can you please stop crying first? Anyone who walks in front of her house will look at her curiously, thinking that she, Wen Chiao, has caused some trouble outside and someone has come to her door. Fang Duo sobbed, I don't even have friends in Yanjian. Lu Yuyu snorted, you didn't ask for it yourself, but you know how to use money to hit people. Fang Duo cried out again, I'm so miserable, and you still blame me. Lu Yuyu had a headache, try crying again. Wen Chiao pressed his temples, but our folk music club does not lack people at the moment. In this way, we can be friends with you, but just join the folk music club. What do you think? Fang Duo has the temper of a young lady. She is in a good mood today and wants to be friends with you. But if she is provoked tomorrow, there may be another conflict. As soon as Fang Duo heard that they could be friends, she immediately burst into laughter and said, really? Wen Chiao responded, really, really. Fang Duo immediately called and went out, and saw her driver entering the yard carrying large and small bags with both hands. Brand name bags, brand name clothes, shoes, and various skincare products and cosmetics were all placed on the old elm table. Superior. Wen Chiao picked one up and looked at it carefully, what are these for? Highlight, for makeup, this brand is very useful. Wen Chiao's expression was blank, highlight. Where, is it applied? Lu Yuyu scratched her neck, our daughter, Chiao Gang, doesn't know how to put on makeup at all, and do you think she can wear these clothes you gave her? She only wears t-shirts and jeans all day long. Wen Chiao said solemnly, Fang Duo, do you know why you don't have any true friends around you? Fang Duo was a little confused. Money can't buy true friends. If you really want others to be sincere to you, you should be sincere to them first. Take these things back. Fang Duo was stunned for a moment, and finally asked the driver to take everything away. She had been making friends like this since she was a child. She was lost in thought, and she seemed to have vaguely learned something. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 515. After Fang Duo left, Wen Chiao braved the scorching sun and went to Fu Nanli's residence. The eldest young master may have a special physique. His hand was injured by a steel bar and it has not healed yet. She must ask his personal doctor to come and treat him well today. He looks at it. When he arrived at his apartment, Wen Chiao pressed the password to enter. The room was quiet. It was Sunday and he had no flight schedule. He was probably in the study. Wen Chiao walked to the study and opened the door without knocking. At that moment, Fu Nanli's heart skipped a beat. Because of the hot weather, he took off the gauze. His wound had healed. He had deceived the children for a long time, but now she was caught in the act. Wen Chiao walked over and looked at his hand, where is the gauze? Fu Nanli coughed lightly, I was just about to tell you that the injury on my hand has healed. Wen Xiao. Just. Showdown. No more pretending? Completely shameless. But I think your wound doesn't look like it's just healed. It looks like it's been healing for a while. Fu Nanli looked at her calmly, it's just right. Wen Xiao couldn't believe that this man actually opened his eyes and told lies, it has obviously been better for a while. Then why did I lie about whether my injury was healed? He was too calm. Wen Xiao, of course it's to lie to me and let me take care of you. The man's voice was low, am I such a person? Wen Xiao, you know whether you are such a person. Fu Nanli held her hand and asked her to rub her palm carefully, it still hurts a little. Wen Xiao relented, will this scar fade away? It doesn't matter if it's light or not. Men don't care much about this. Wen Xiao sighed, are those rumors from the outside world true? What? It's someone secretly arranged by Fu Cheng to hurt you. Fu Nanli's eyes drooped, maybe, only his bodyguard was found, and the bodyguard has been arrested. Wen Xiao reached out and hugged him. To a certain extent, Fu Nanli was actually more pitiful than her. Although she was abandoned by her biological father, the other family members treated her very well, and her brothers also tried their best to protect her. As for Fu Nanli, his brothers all have evil intentions and are concerned about his vast wealth. Just like the princes in ancient times, they have never stopped fighting openly and secretly. On the surface, they have great glory, but privately they don't even have anyone to talk to. Fu Chen was so cunning and scheming that she had never noticed his wild ambitions. Will Fu Nanli be his opponent? She was really worried. At noon, Wen Xiao was going to the club to deliver food to Wen Qi and the others, and Fu Nanli said he wanted to go with him. She opened a club, and as her boyfriend, he had never seen her before. The young master was not very happy. Wen Xiao repeatedly warned him on the way, Wen Qi and the others don't know that this club is mine, mainly because they are afraid that he will be too arrogant, so just pretend you don't know. Fu Nanli played with her fingers and lazily replied, I know. When we arrived at the club, the central air conditioner in the building was turned on low. Fu Nanli was carrying a lunch box in his hand, and Wen Xiao was also carrying one. After all, there were several boys. When they went to the training room on the second floor, Brother Dong was nowhere to be seen. Wen Xiao shouted, come over and eat, my mother cooked the food. Xiaobai was the first to take off his earmuffs and rush over. Wen Qi glanced at him and said, you are the most active during meals. Xiaobai felt aggrieved, I'm hungry. Gu Xiao turned around and saw the tall man next to Wen Xiao. His eyes flickered and he turned around again. The hand holding the mouse trembled slightly. Asking for a monthly ticket. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 516. After Wen Qi and the others finished the last game, they took off their headphones and walked to the table. Gu Xiao was the only one still sitting in front of the computer. Wen Qi shouted, and Gu Xiao slowly took off his headphones and walked over. Fu Nanli's sharp eyes wandered over him. He had received a photo of him and Xiao Er before, so he recognized it at a glance. Wen Xiao introduced, this is Gu Xiao. He is currently studying at Fukai University. He was previously at MIT, the same school as you. Unprecedentedly, Fu Nanli stretched out his hand, with a superficial smile on his lips. Hello. Wen Xiao felt a little strange. Most of the time, it was others who took the initiative to shake hands with Fu Nanli. He was not a warm-tempered person. Facing Fu Nanli's gaze, Gu Xiao finally reached out his hand and said, hello. Since you are a student at MIT, Why did you come to Fukai University? Gu Xiao once again told the reason why he came back, and Fu Nanli smiled, I am very filial. Gu Xiao retracted his hand and forced a smile. Wen Qi and the others were already wolfing down the food around the table. He called to Gu Xiao in a vague voice, come over and eat quickly. They are all reincarnations of starving ghosts and will be gone in a short while. Gu Xiao looked away and walked to Wen Qi. Wen Qiao looked around and said, where's Brother Dong? I went to the supermarket to buy wine. It's been a while. I guess I saw an old man playing chess on the roadside and couldn't move my feet anymore. Wen Qiao took Fu Nanli's hand and said, let me show you around. It's not bad here. Fu Nanli withdrew his meaningful gaze from Gu Xiao and left the training room with Wen Qiao. It wasn't until the two figures disappeared at the door that Gu Xiao turned his head and glanced, then quickly withdrew his gaze and lowered his head to eat. Wen Qiao took Fu Nanli up and down, and Fu Nanli rubbed her head, there are so many equipments up and down, so many people, you set up such a big stall, but you are so tight-lipped about me. Wen Qiao looked up at him, isn't this a new matter? Why do you still mention it? Fu Nanli's eyes were deep and he pinched her face, okay, let's not mention it anymore. He had a very complicated emotion towards the boy named Gu Xiao. This indescribably complex emotion filled his heart. He didn't like this feeling. After the group of boys finished eating, the lunch boxes had been packed away, and Wen Qiao left with the lunch boxes. Fu Nanli glanced at Gu Xiao indifferently and said nothing. The two got in the car and the car slowly drove away from the business park. Brother Dong stood on the side of the road. Through the half-open window, he saw Fu Nanli's face, and he felt as if he had seen it somewhere before. He returned to the club with a pint of beer. When he saw Wen Qi about to go upstairs, he called out to him, who is the man who came here with your sister? My brother-in-law, Fu Nanli, the crown prince of the Fu family, do you know? Brother Dong raised his eyebrows, I heard something. It seems that he has never met the eldest son of the Fu family. Where does this sense of familiarity come from? Brother Dong thought about it for a long time. Lying in bed at night, he suddenly had an idea. He seemed to be a bit like Gu Xiao before plastic surgery. He wasn't sure if he remembered it correctly. At that time, Gu Xiao's photo slid down and he just glanced at it. His impression was a bit blurry. The next day, it was raining outside and the club was groggy. Wen Qi got up at 6:30, brushed his teeth and washed his face. After breakfast, he went to the training room. It is simply much more diligent than going to school. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 517. His dream is to stand on a world-class stage and win PUBG's highest honor trophy with his teammates. In the past, he was guilty of being stupid. Although he is still laughing and joking now, he will never relax when it is time to be serious. Teammates also entered the training room one after another. It's drizzling outside, and the green shade is outside the lattice window. The expressions of several teenagers are more serious than the other. Everyone is passionate, wants to prove themselves, and wants to win glory for the country. Domestic competition championships have always been monopolized by CG, and in international competitions, except for the two trophies won by Neptune and VG before, the championships have almost all fallen into the hands of Koreans since then. Wen Qi trains extremely hard, training for at least 16 hours a day. In the evening, Shen Tian wants to invite everyone to have hot pot. Gu Xiao said that his stomach was not feeling well, so he stopped going. Brother Dong couldn't say it either. It's not far from the esports park, it's too easy to meet boys from those clubs in the nearby shopping mall, so he decided not to go there. He wanted to live a peaceful life for 2 days without having people come to him all the time, which would cause a lot of trouble. Shen Tian hugged Wen Kai's neck, then let's go. A group of 5 people went to a nearby shopping mall in the light rain. As soon as they entered, the waiter immediately took out a clean towel, one for each person. Your hair is wet, wipe it off. As expected, it is a hot pot restaurant famous for its good service. After a few people finished eating the hot pot, they left the mall. The rain outside had stopped, the neon lights were on, and the small square was filled with water. It had been raining for a whole day, and the heat was slightly relieved, and the air was filled with the fragrance of green grass. Several people put their hands in their pockets and were about to leave, when they heard a mocking voice from behind, "Isn't this Qi Shen?" When Qi turned around and saw the Luying master from the CG club and several teammates standing behind him. The one who spoke was a boy next to Luying, with a sarcastic smile. When Qi thought, fortunately CG didn't want him, both of them were so weird, what's wrong with them? Qi Shen? What is that? Why haven't I heard of it? I've only heard of Luo Shen. The second ancestor Shen couldn't bear it, what the hell? When Qi grabbed him and said, "Don't pay attention to them, let's go." Now that his PTSD has been cured, it is not impossible to fight, but he can completely control his emotions. Unless the other party really deserves a beating, he can usually hold it back. That's the Qi Shen who cheated and sniped our Luying. Master Kai's anger is charged by 60%. A sharp sarcastic voice sounded behind him. When Qi clicked his tongue, but still ignored it. Checking. What kind of cheating? Lock hanging or hanging through the wall? Everyone in this club was swishing. Maybe they were tired from playing games and wanted to fight to stretch their muscles. Master Kai's anger is charged at 80%. I heard that he has some mental problems, please don't talk about it, otherwise Qi Shen will beat him. Shen Tian cursed, can you still bear this? When Qi took his arm and looked back at Luying. Xiaobai said loudly, as we all know, if you cheat when playing games in the live broadcast room, your account will be banned for 32 hours. Luo Dashan keeps saying that our Master Qi is cheating, but Mr. Kai's live broadcast room was not blocked, not even for an hour. It turns out that Master Luo couldn't afford to lose. He was attacked by a junior, so why did he have to frame others for cheating? When Kai's smile widened, and he saw several teammates around Luying rushing over with their teeth and claws open. At this moment, he could still keep his composure and whispered, let them fight first. In this way, they are not actively seeking quarrels and causing trouble. He was indeed cured. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 518. Luying's teammates rushed up and punched Wen Qi in the chest arrogantly. Wen Qi groaned. Him. The war is about to break out. All members of the CG club rushed forward. Luying was their captain, and the captain's reputation was insulted. How could that be done? Moreover, they also hate this kind of arrogant younger generation. They are not polite at all when they see their seniors and they deserve to be beaten. What they didn't expect was that among the 5 boys in the AF club, more than one of them was very eye-catching, and even more so when fighting. In just 10 minutes, he went from being extremely arrogant at the beginning to being pushed to the ground and beaten crazily. The boy named Monkey next to Luying was the most aggressive in shouting, and he was the first to scream for mercy. With a bruised nose and swollen face, he crawled to the flower bed on the side of the road, took out his cell phone, pointed at Wen Qi, I want to call the police. Wen Qi had grown longer now, and his smile was a bit evil. He walked over and stepped on the monkey's chest, Senior, your hands are shaking, do you want me to call the police for you? The monkey trembled, you are finished, Wen Qi, you are really finished. Wen Qi blew his unsightly bangs and smiled innocently, Senior, hurry up and call the police. The monkey shivered and called the police. After a while, the police car arrived. Luying and Monkey watched helplessly as several people around Wen Qi, who was originally arrogant, began to scream, each one more dramatic than the other. The monkey was confused. What the hell are you pretending to be? Lu Ying became angry because the people around Wen Qi were too good at pretending. Wen Qi had a good skin and imitated his Wen Mo's pretending to be good, which impressed the middle-aged uncle very much. Uncle policeman, they beat people, my arm seems to be broken. He didn't tell a lie. It was the people from CG Club who provoked and beat people first. He will not be taken advantage of and take the blame on himself. The police uncle took a look and saw that the child was wearing white t-shirt jeans and had a very aggrieved expression. He looked like a good student. Then he looked at the boys opposite. After all, they have participated in competitions, been exposed to social atmosphere, and are all professional players with high annual salaries. They all look like very social. Even though the people in the CG Club are all old professional players, almost all of them are in their early 20s, and the police still treat the matter as a student fight. Who made the move first? The policeman took out the transcript and glanced at the two camps. Shen Tian and the others also followed Wen Qi in pretending to be innocent. Instead, it was Luo Ying and the others because they were famous and had a large number of people. The fans, therefore emboldened, shouted in front of the police, "Didn't you see that all of us were beaten with bruises on our faces?" Wen Qi and his gang of thieves beat people so hard that those who didn't know thought they were from the martial arts club. They all deserved to be beaten. It was so embarrassing. Seeing their arrogant attitude, the police frowned and said, "We've already gone to retrieve the surveillance video. So, seeing that you are all students, we'll apologize first, pay compensation, and then have people come over to bail. This matter will be private bar." Wen Qi, "We have no problem." Lu Ying glared at Wen Qi. After a while, another policeman came over with a mobile phone. "I saw it, it was this classmate who moved first." As he spoke, he pointed at the monkey. The monkey suddenly became anxious. "They provoked me first. Shen Tian couldn't bear it anymore. They were the ones who provoked me first with words, and they were the ones who started the beating." Uncle policeman, you can learn from this. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 519. The policeman was very fair. Go to the police station first. In just 10 minutes, at the small police station on the roadside, officers from both parties were standing next to the wall. Captain Joe pointed at the monkey. "We have found out that you are the ones who caused the problem in the first place. You apologize, pay 2,000 yuan, and each of you ask someone to come over to bail. Let this be settled." Wen Qi raised his eyebrows and looked at Lu Ying. "Just listen to the police uncle." Luo Ying was so angry that he almost gritted his teeth, but they were considered celebrities after all. Although the esports circle was not like the entertainment circle where anything they did could be trending, they still had to pay attention to the impact, so they could only accept it this way. The 5 people from CG stood neatly in front of the 5 people from AF and reluctantly bowed and apologized. "I'm sorry." Wen Qi rubbed his arms. "We can't do this next time." Lu Ying clenched his fists. Gritting his teeth, Monkey scanned Wen Kai's payment code and paid 2,000 yuan in compensation. 2 teams of 10 people immediately waited in the small police station for their respective people to come and release them for bail. Wen Qi called his sister, and Wen Qiao arrived with the manager of the CG Club. When she heard that Wen Qi had a fight with someone and went to the police station, Wen Qiao felt a little bit in her heart. Dr. Chen had said that Wen Qi had recovered, but now he suddenly went to the police station because of a fight. She was worried that his condition would relapse and he would need long-term treatment. After entering the police station, she saw 2 rows of boys lined up in the corner of the water fountain on the right. She walked over and took Wen Kai's hand. "Are you okay?" Wen Qi patted her shoulder. "Sister, I'm fine. The person they hit first was just self-defense." "Monkey, you humming fart." Captain Joe picked up a report sheet and knocked it on the monkey's head. "We're still at the police station. If you say something rude, be honest." The monkey looked at Wen Qi with ferocious eyes. Wen Qiao was a little surprised. "Did they hit the first person?" Wen Qi nodded. "You framed me for cheating and beat someone first." Fortunately, the police officers handled the case impartially and asked them to apologize and compensate for our losses. When his sister came in, her eyes were full of worry. Of course he knew what his sister was worried about. After recovering, there is no need to worry, he will no longer be provoked into a fight by someone else's words. Fighting is just for self-protection. Mr. Kai's IQ will no longer drag down the family average. Wen Qiao breathed a sigh of relief. "That's good." The manager of the CG club over there scolded a few people except Lu Ying in a low voice. Many people posted videos on the internet. Fortunately, I contacted them in time and spent money to remove those videos. "Do you know that you are a public figure? Where are you? A person who doesn't have hundreds of thousands of fans actually fights in public. Isn't he afraid of sponsors withdrawing their funding?" There is no training for Lu Ying because Lu Ying is CG's ace, a cash cow, a great figure that even the manager has to support. Several other people were silent, accusing Wen Qi and others of being the first to do it. Both parties signed their names and led the 2 teams out of the door. Wen Qiao could hear the disdainful whispers behind him. "Pfft, I heard that an AF club was founded, and the players were dug out of nowhere. They are all items that other clubs don't want. I heard that the coach didn't know where he picked it up." Wen Qiao looked back at them. "The AF club you look down on will defeat you one day. CG Club was the runner-up in last year's PGC Global Championship and the champion of last year's London Summit. Since then, it has attracted a large number of fans, and its players have long been praised by fans. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 520. He fights and races to show off his wealth, and is often trending. Now when they heard the girl sneer and provoke them, saying that an unknown motley army would defeat them, they couldn't hold it back. The CG manager couldn't hold him back, and several boys had already rushed to the AF club members. Another melee. Captain Joe was holding the big teacup and the corner of his mouth twitched. This time he saw with his own eyes that the people from the CG club made the first move, and they didn't even let the girls go. What a bunch of bastards. After a big fight broke out, the 2 parties returned to the police station. Team Joe looked at the manager of CG club angrily. They were the ones who made the first move again. The manager kept apologizing and then gave a few CG people a scolding. Captain Joe said to Wen Qiao in a pleasant manner, "Can you find someone else to bail you out?" Wen Qiao called Fu Nanli, while Shen Tian jumped up and down beside him. "Auntie, please, if my uncle comes and sees me here, he will definitely think that I have led you astray again." Wen Qiao tooted, "Shut up. Operation Matryoshka begins here." Wen Qiao came to fish for her by herself, but unexpectedly she was also taken in, and in turn asked Fu Nanli to fish for her. Over there, Lu Ying is not to be outdone. His brother-in-law owns a law firm, and he must sue those grandsons who don't know the truth. Lu Ying's uncle came first and was very energetic. He used various professional vocabulary and summed it up in one sentence: "Just wait to receive the lawyer's letter. Wait to be punished by the law." Shen Tian covered his heart. "I'm so scared." Lu Ying's uncle's eyelids trembled. They were really a bunch of stubborn children who didn't know the dangers of society. When the lawyer's letter was sent to them, they cried and begged for mercy. He was confident of winning a lawsuit of this level. The sound of rain falling outside reached the small police station, and Shen Tian was somewhat looking forward to the arrival of his uncle. It was late at night, and several police officers in the police station were drinking tea and watching the fun. There were also a few drunkards who were reprimanded by the police for drunk driving and sobered up for a while, silently squatting on the ground and eating melon. There were voices at the door. Wen Qiao looked up and saw Fu Nanli entering the small courtyard of the police station and walking towards the hall. Song An held an umbrella for him, and there seemed to be 5 or 6 men following him. After entering the door, Song An put away his umbrella. Fu Nanli was wearing a handmade suit with a stern expression, which was incompatible with the temperament of this small police station filled with drunkards and gang-fighting students. Although Captain Zhou is a grassroots police officer, he is used to seeing all kinds of people from all walks of life, so he knows that this is a big shot. Everyone in the small police station was so oppressed by the boss's strong aura that they did not dare to speak, and just stared at him curiously. Fu Nanli introduced politely, "This is my legal team. If you have anything, you can talk to my lawyer." Lu Ying's uncle recognized at a glance that the leader was a giant in the legal field, and hurriedly stepped forward and said, "Hello, Par. When the revenue reaches 15 million to 20 million, it can be called a big PAR. This PAR is a giant among big PARs, the kind who can represent the country in international lawsuits. And his other title is Zhonghuan's chief legal advisor. He is in his 30s and has a close relationship with the crown prince of the Fu family. He has been opening his own law firm in the past few years and only joined Zhonghuan this year. It is said that he is doing it for the crown prince's face." Fu Nanli walked up to Wen Qiao and glanced at Shen Tian. Shen Tian was frightened.